Imagine a world where the mighty roar of the mammoth no longer shakes the icy landscapes, where the dodo's clumsy yet endearing flight is but a distant memory. These iconic creatures, once abundant and full of life, have disappeared from the earth, erased from existence by a combination of natural events and human impact. The mammoth, with its towering tusks and thick fur, was once a symbol of the frozen tundra, and the dodo, a flightless bird from an island paradise, was an emblem of simplicity and nature. But now, these creatures are nothing more than fossils and stories passed down through generations. Their extinction has left a profound silence in our ecosystems, reminding us of the fragility of life. What have we truly lost? Beyond the physical absence of these animals, we've lost entire ecosystems they once supported, the biodiversity that helped maintain the balance of our planet, and the rich narratives of natural history that they once embodied. Their extinction is a stark reminder of the irreversible consequences of human actions, from habitat destruction to overhunting. But in this moment of reflection, there's an urgent question that beckons us. What can we do to prevent further losses? How can we protect the creatures still among us from meeting the same fate? As we witness the growing list of species on the brink of extinction today, we must ask ourselves how we can learn from the past and take meaningful action to preserve the diversity of life that remains. The loss of species like the mammoth and the dodo is not just a historical fact. It is a call to arms for conservation efforts that could help safeguard our planet's future. Here's a more detailed look at the 10 animals that went extinct in the last century. Passenger pigeon, Ectopistes migratorius. The passenger pigeon was once the most numerous bird in North America, with flocks so large they could darken the sky. However, intense commercial hunting for its meat and the destruction of its forest habitat caused its population to rapidly decline in the 19th century. By the early 20th century, their numbers were decimated. The last known passenger pigeon, named Martha, died in captivity at the Cincinnati Zoo in 1914, marking the species' official extinction. The extinction of this bird is often cited as a tragic example of the impact of human activity on species. Tasmanian tiger, Thylacine, Thylacinus cynocephalus, native to Tasmania. The thylacine was a carnivorous marsupial with a wolf-like appearance. The species suffered from European settlers' persecution, as they were feared as livestock killers, and from habitat destruction. Though thylacines had already become rare in the wild by the early 1900s, the last known individual died in captivity in 1936 at the Hobart Zoo in Tasmania. The extinction of the thylacine is a tragic example of the pressures placed on native species by colonization. Dodo, Rhaphis cucullatus. The dodo was a large, flightless bird that lived on the island of Mauritius. It evolved without natural predators, leading it to be unafraid of humans. Early Dutch, Portuguese, and French settlers introduced non-native animals such as rats, pigs, and monkeys that competed with the dodo for food and preyed on its eggs. Additionally, overhunting by sailors contributed to its extinction in the late 1600s, making the dodo an early and poignant symbol of human-induced extinction. Its disappearance illustrates the vulnerability of species in isolated environments. Mammoth, woolly mammoth, Mammuthus primigenus. The woolly mammoth, a distant relative of today's elephants, lived in the cold tundra of North America, Europe, and Asia. While these animals were primarily driven extinct by a combination of climate change and overhunting by early humans, some populations survived on isolated islands such as Wrangel Island in the Arctic Ocean until around 1650 BCE. Despite this relatively recent extinction date, mammoths are often regarded as emblematic of the ancient fauna lost at the end of the Pleistocene epoch. Caspian tiger, Panthera tigris virgata. The Caspian tiger, a subspecies of tiger native to the forests and steppes of Central Asia, was one of the largest wildcats. This tiger's population was decimated due to habitat destruction, human encroachment, and poaching. The Caspian tiger was officially declared extinct by the 1970s. Loss of prey and the draining of the tiger's wetland habitats for agriculture and development contributed heavily to its decline. The extinction of this majestic predator serves as a reminder of the fragility of ecosystems under human pressures. Great auk, Pinguinus impennis. The great auk was a flightless seabird native to the North Atlantic. It was well adapted for swimming and diving but was heavily hunted by humans for its meat, eggs, and feathers. By the mid-19th century, its population had been so drastically reduced that the last known individuals were killed in 1844 on a small island off Iceland. The great auks extinction demonstrates the devastating impact that overhunting and exploitation can have on wildlife, especially when species are already vulnerable due to their specialized behaviors. Caribbean monk seal, Neomonachus tropicalis. The Caribbean monk seal was a species of seal found in the warm waters of the Caribbean Sea. It faced significant threats from human activity, including hunting for its fur, the depletion of its food sources due to overfishing, and habitat disturbance caused by human settlements. Despite efforts to protect the species, it was declared extinct in the 1950s. The Caribbean monk seal's extinction is a clear example of how human exploitation of marine resources and coastal habitats can push species to the brink. Yangtze River dolphin, Beiji, Lipotes vexillifer. The Beiji dolphin was a freshwater species found in China's Yangtze River. Overfishing, pollution, and boat traffic took a severe toll on the Beiji population. By the early 2000s, the species was considered functionally extinct, and despite several attempts to Pinta Island tortoise, Chelonoidus abingdon, the Pinta Island tortoise was a large species of giant tortoise from the Galapagos Islands. Due to hunting by sailors and the introduction of invasive species, its population dwindled. The last known individual, Lonesome George, died in 2012 after unsuccessful attempts to find a mate. The extinction of this tortoise is part of the broader tragedy of giant tortoise species disappearing from the Galapagos, emphasizing the threats posed by invasive species and habitat destruction. West African black rhinoceros, Diceros bicornus longipes. The West African black rhinoceros was a subspecies of the black rhinoceros found in several countries in West Africa. Overhunting for their horns, combined with habitat loss from agriculture and poaching, led to the rapid decline of this subspecies. Despite conservation efforts, it was declared extinct by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, in 2011. The extinction of the West African black rhinoceros underscores the destructive impact of illegal wildlife trade and the need for stronger conservation measures for critically endangered species. These extinctions illustrate the broader environmental crisis resulting from human actions, including overhunting, habitat destruction, pollution, and the introduction of invasive species. Many of these extinctions could have been prevented with more focused conservation efforts, emphasizing the importance of protecting biodiversity today to prevent further losses.